All right. I would like to welcome everyone who came out to this fashion merchandising and design masterclass with special guest Professor Hamner. Um, uh, this sorry, but just also go ahead and start with the first question. How did you get started with everything? I'm
Saw
sorry.
that question and I was like, wow, that's kind of like, so, well, I'm Stacey Hamner, and I think I started with mud pies and finger paint. Like literally, when I was a preschooler, my parents were very lenient with art supplies, and I remember having like a big roll of paper in my room, like things I wouldn't even let my own kids do now, but just kind of got to create and just make stuff and play, I think, with that. And so kind of looking back, like I can kind of see that thread throughout a lot of things. But where up until where I am now, I have been a children's clothing designer for Dillard's department store. I have been a fabric designer for a company in Tuscaloosa called Pfeiffer Incorporated, doing design for outdoor fabrics. So that's kind of where I did. I went to University of Alabama, and now I'm here.
When you say outdoor fabrics, do you mean like making like cushion fabric? Like, you know what I mean? Like
We did
outdoor
both.
furniture. Okay.
So you know how you see the fabrics that are, we call them sling fabrics. It's a polyester, a PVC coated polyester yarn. If you go to like Lowe's, you see those pool chairs.
Yeah.
We did a lot of that kind of fabric, but we also did some cushion goods as well.
Awesome. And so what did you like study in school? Was it for fashion and merchandising or?
So our department, I went to the University of Alabama, and our department was clothing, textile, and design. So we were all the design there together, interiors, fashion merchandising, we called it retail, and then design. And my concentration was in apparel design. So my degree is in apparel design with a background in the clothing and textiles. I've loved my school at the university. We had some great professors who really, they worked as hard. They, really gave us a great education. One of their top priorities was to prepare us for the workplace and to make sure we were very clear. We were very study textiles. We had a lot of labs and quality control and how to weigh things and test things and why it was important in our garment design. And when I had my first job and we really had to apply that, I was so thankful that they were hard on us and but taught us that because it was important and it was something that we used. So that's what I try to tell my textiles classes now. I'm like, it's gonna be important one day.
Yeah, when I'm about to graduate with a theater major, and so I can feel where you're coming from when it's like you're glad that your professors like push you, because we like some people just really don't take the advantage of being pushed because it just kind of hurts their feelings and stuff like that. But then like when you do get pushed, you learn more and you just like can just feel more of the outside before graduating and stuff like that. So I really appreciate that. Yeah.
You absolutely feel like all of your time that you put into college was worth it, right? Like you're not just going just to go. You're going to learn and to develop your career. And so I worked alongside people that would say, how did you know that? And I would say, did you not learn that in school? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh. So like really was like, I felt proud of that education because, I worked really hard for it. So I'm glad.
Awesome. And how does your interior design business and fashion merchandising background tie together?
I think it's all connected through the design process. So whether it's the interiors that I'm doing or the gift shop that I'm running, and the classes, I really stress that design process. So you're really developing something all the way. So you're researching things, you're being inspired by things, and then you're developing, whether it's you're developing an interior space, a store space, or a garment, you're putting it together. You're going through this process of creating, and that's my favorite thing, is just creating things. And so that's how it all ties together for me, is that I don't really see a difference in a lot of them. I just have to change my focus depending on the task at hand. But really, I think creatives, whether you're an artist or theater, like, you're still going through a process to get to whatever it is that you're creating. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. And can you elaborate about like how like the process between designing something? I mean, sorry. I'm so awkward at these things. Okay. Like, can you just say your process of how they, oh God, I can't even think of the question. I'm so sorry. I had it in my mind and it's
I'll give
gone.
you an example. You may give you an example.
Yeah.
So right now we're working on, my students are working on a final project in fashion sketching, which is a new class. And we're going through the design process. So for example, they spent time doing research and finding some inspiration. So what inspires you? Is that a favorite place you have visited? Is that a beautiful garment that you saw walking down the runway, like a beautiful fabric? Or whatever that is. Is it the beach? Is it Italian food? Whatever is inspiring you, you're going to kind of grab onto that and say, that's it, and now I'm going to start taking that inspiration and putting it into a collection. So I'm going to gather color swatches. I'm going to gather fabric trims and put that together. Then the next thing they do is start sketching their ideas for the garment designs. So sketching ideas for tops, sketching ideas for skirts and pants. And, we're ending up with a goal of 6 looks, but to get to 6 looks, you've got to create a lot of ideas to brainstorm and do all of that. So we'll do some sketching, we'll do some brainstorming, and then start to refine it and start piecing together that final collection. And for this class, that's part of it. When you're working, like actually, when I worked for Dillard's making garments, we saw everything from concept through production. So we would define the style, and we would work with the technical designers to create a whole tech pack that goes off to the manufacturers. And then those samples come back and you have to approve it. And you approve everything along the way, like color and fabric and buttons and zippers and anything that goes into a garment. There's a process of approval for those. So you're really doing the same thing. You're like defining something, you're listing out the materials, you're making a pattern, and then you're approving to make sure it's executed just like you wanted it to be.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. How do you handle branding your business?
Branding the business, I can tell you where the name Reclaim Spirit came from. That might help.
Okay.
So kind of like, go way back. After I had these careers in clothing design and fabric design, we moved here to North Alabama. And I kind of just wanted to stay at home with my kids and not do anything for a minute. But I think when you're a creative person, you just, you're made to do that. So it just kind of comes back. So I started painting these little things for my church bazaar that I was putting Bible verses on and things like that. And I did them for this event. And then people started asking me to do more. So like I'd make somebody something for their birthday and then, another gift. And so I was like, wow, this could be kind of fun. Like, give me a creative outlet to be doing something again. It felt great to be making something. And I did a couple of booths, but I wanted to have a name because I come from, the that line of business that I was like, we got to brand it. So like any big decisions that I make, I started with some prayer. And we wanted something, my husband and I, is the we've always loved like vintage, like thrifting. And that's how we furnished a lot of our first houses, fixing things up, painting old furniture, that kind of thing. And so when we named it, we wanted it to be something that wasn't just like Stacey Hamner art. We wanted it to maybe have something that we could grow with. So we named it Reclaimed Spirit because I started painting on reclaimed wood, like pieces my dad had cut off the things, and so pallets and that kind of stuff. So it was reclaimed, like in the spirit of reclaimed. We thought not everything would be reclaimed, but it would be in the spirit of it. And then it was a little play on words, like, with like Christian influence, like born again, reclaimed spirit. So that's just kind of how that came about. I think I forgot the question because I talked about, branding. So that's really where it came out. And I had a little bird. I don't really know exactly why I picked the bird. It's not like I'm a crazy bird, but I think flying free is kind of a great symbol. And so far I've done all the branding myself. Like I use Canva or Photoshop or Illustrator, to create the logo that I have, and all the graphics. I just do that, but as the business has grown, I'm trying to incorporate that branding into more. Hopefully everybody is like hearing Reclaimed Spirit, Reclaimed Spirit, Reclaimed Spirit.
I really appreciate that name because I'm a Christian myself, so I really really appreciate that, and I love the story of how that came to be. All right, and let's see. We see you're an artist too, and how does that tie into yourself in interior design and fashion merchandising?
Yes, here's one of my girls. I just think it's like so you just can't stop. Like I said, when I tried to stop, things just come out. I hadn't painted before. That was not my training in school, but I just, have always played with paints and things. And for me now, painting is like just another avenue I can express, myself, my creativity. And it's really a place to play for me right now, to explore ideas. And just sometimes it's just the process of literally just doing it for nothing, really, just smishing the paint around on the canvas. That's what I say when it's been a while and I hadn't painted. Like now, I'm just eager to do that because you never know what's going to happen once you do. I don't do really figure drawings. Things just kind of come out. And so it's really like play. And it also gives me a way to incorporate things into my client's home to bring a little bit of originality and beauty. But really, I think it gives you a chance to play, like I said, and to make some mistakes. I tell my students all the time, like, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Like nobody, like Picasso didn't just sit down and like, voila, a masterpiece. You have a learning process, and the more you can practice, the better it will be. But I love painting. I think that's so fun. Everybody should try it if you haven't.
That painting is absolutely beautiful behind you. Like, it's so beautiful. I love it. Okay, and how do you balance your professional and personal life?
I think that's the $1 million question. I really think there's not a balance. I think when I started, I kind of thought like that was what I wanted to ask everybody. Like, how do you balance it? Because that's the hardest part when you're a mom and you have a family and a personal life. I'm kind of one of those people where I feel like work is my hobby, which is amazing that that's what I get to do. Because I love what I do. I love the process that I'm going through, and I love creating the things, and it's all except for like the accounting and all that. Like I don't enjoy that, but I have to do it. But the rest of it is like a process that I love. And I think we all only have so many hours in each day. And so your balance is really up to what you prioritize and choose. Right now I have children that are still elementary age, and it's important to me to be, present for them in the afternoons and on the weekends and for family things. So, it comes down to where either I have to not do a thing, I have to hire somebody to do it for me, or I have to miss things for me to do it. You know, you pick. I feel like I'm in a stage where my children grow so fast that, you know, maybe when they're a little bit older, I'll have time to do some more of the things that other ideas that I have. I think the older you get, you can kind of pace yourself a bit, or at least I've gotten better at that, because at first I wanted to do like everything, and I'm doing a lot. So I feel like there's time to enjoy my family and then still save some things for later. So balance is tough. It's a tough question, but you just have to pick your priorities and go with it and know that it'll change, and that's okay.
I think a lot of us can relate with that, especially like with school and work and stuff like that. And also a personal life. Like, I work as a manager for a shoe store, and I'm also balancing being a full-time student and having a personal life, you know? And so I think, you know, I think it's hard for everybody to try to keep a, you know, steady hand there, you know. All right. And how do you stay motivated?
I think I stay motivated by learning. I don't ever want to quit learning, whether it's, you know, taking an online art class or training for business, teaching the students. Knowing that people are counting on me motivates me too, because I'm like, I don't like to say no to things that I really want to do. I don't like disappointing people. So I think like getting things done motivates me, and seeing if I can do it. I think, you know, we're always our worst critic, but I think we can also be like our own motivator, because it's like I compete against myself almost, you know, see if I can do this, but being okay if I don't. But I think really it's so fortunate. I'm so grateful that I get to do really things that I really like to do. So it's easy to get motivated.
Thank you for that. So my questions are over. So I'm going to open up the whole chat for a Q&A for you. And so, yeah.
Bring it on.
Anybody want to ask anything?
So I am a current fashion merchandising student. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes.
Oh, hey. I didn't know if this was on correctly. Sorry. Do you have any advice for like current students in college going into fashion merchandising?
My advice for you is to enjoy it, work as hard as you can. You know, fashion is can be a very stressful field also. So like, no sugarcoating it. Like, we work a lot of hours and you have a lot riding on you. So just make sure that you like that kind of fast-paced environment. You seek out a job in a fast-paced environment, because there's a lot of components that go into it, and there's a lot of people's money on the line. You know, for example, when I worked for Dillard's, you know, if you make a mistake, it's not like you can hide it. You know, you've got 30,000 garments that are wrong, and that's a lot. If we went to weave some fabric on the floor for outdoor furniture, and oops, I put in the wrong yarn color, and now we have 3,000 yards of trash, you know. So that's why in school we're teaching you to just be very specific and particular and careful as part of your creativity. So also be able to take critiques. You know, your employers should be kind, but you got to grow some thick skin, because a lot of times you'll find yourself in a room full of people and everyone has an opinion, and some people have a lot more experience. So always put your opinion out there, all your ideas out there, but don't get sad if they don't pick it, because your day will come. You will have your things out there, but thick skin. You know, if you're going to cry when somebody tells you that's not it for today, it may be a hard road. So that's just my like honest truth. And that's okay, because you get to design something new every single day.
Thank you.
Great question.
All right, and do we have any more questions? No.
No.
All right. Nobody else? This is like, I feel like there's crickets. All
So
right.
does anybody here have a desire to have their own business?
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, good.
Currently, I just
I'm glad that I work.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Currently, I just do like crochet and knitting items for like my family and friends, but they pay me to make those, or just like people in my community. But I don't know if I'd want to make that professional or not.
I'm very glad that I got to work for other businesses first. There's no wrong way to go about it, but I'm really glad that I got to work for those businesses and have those conversations, like sit in the rooms with like, pricing negotiations, and I got to travel to manufacturers overseas on their dime, but really learned a lot. And I don't think I could be where I am now if I hadn't done that first. Does that make sense?
Well, if there is no other questions for Ms. Hamner, I just want to thank everyone for coming out. And I hope that students who were here learned something. And thank you again, Ms. Hamner, for taking your time out to chat with us. And everything you said was just awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I think this is a great program, and I'm glad that y'all are getting a chance to hear from so many different professions. That's awesome.
Well, everybody have a good day, and especially you, Ms. Hamner. And we will see y'all next time. Everybody have a good rest of the semester, and see y'all later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.